Today's consumers not only want to know that their favorite brands are environmentally friendly, they want to know exactly how big their carbon footprints are.
Since 2010, we've used 6.4 billion plastic bottles and converted them into recycled polyester that then becomes a garment in some way, shape, or form.
Climate change is transforming our spending habits.
It provides the customer an extra level of insurance that they know it can last them a really long time.
A former soccer player built a billion-dollar sneaker startup.
I didn't grow up on a sheep farm. I didn't grow up dreaming of one day starting a footwear brand.
An accountant revolutionized the water bottle industry.
Because it looked like a camping accessory. It had a carabiner on the top. It had a bumper sticker on the side. It didn't look like something that I would want to leave on the table.
A group of college students turned the mattress industry upside down.
We picked something that no one else our age wanted to go work on.
This is Suddenly Obsessed. When it comes to fashion, you think of Louboutin red-bottom heels, Prada handbags, and Hermes scarves. But what about garbage? The environment is facing an irreversible climate crisis. Automation and human consumption have led to an unprecedented amount of garbage since the Industrial Revolution. And the fashion industry is culpable for nearly 1 billion tons of the planet's waste each year. But some companies are stepping up to develop new ways to make their lines more sustainable. And one of the most innovative solutions came from an unlikely source: water bottles. Each year, textile manufacturing companies like Unify repurpose over 4 billion water bottles, turning them into recycled polyester fiber, which are used to make hot new fashion trends. And now, some of the biggest brands in fashion are incorporating repurposed plastic at scale. It sounds like a perfect solution, but what are the hidden environmental costs? Recycling plastic into polyester has been around for nearly 3 decades. Patagonia was the first clothing company to release a line of fleece made from recycled water bottles, but there was something peculiar about the color.
They were coming out in this very sort of lime, minty green that was reflecting the original color of the Sprite bottles that were used to make the fleece.
The innovation was groundbreaking when it was released in 1993, just about the time Hurricane Andrew ravaged the Bahamas and the southeastern coasts. Since then, the effects of climate change have become more obvious. The last decade has seen stronger hurricanes, record temperatures, and the discovery of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, making clear the need to rethink how we use, discard, and recycle plastics. The public's awareness of the negative effects of pollution has led to a heightened sense of responsibility, especially when it comes to consumption. And consumers' demand for sustainable products means the movement is more than a trend.
I don't think it's a fleeting trend at all. I think it's an opportunity for brands to be more responsible.
And that's exactly what happened. Millennial and Gen Z consumers in particular prioritize smarter shopping decisions, resulting in an uptick in fashion sustainability from big retail industry brands.
There are a lot of companies that are embracing this movement because it's the right thing to do, because their market studies have told them that this is what consumers want to hear.
Take athletic apparel leader Nike, the company creating clothing and shoes from recycled materials that otherwise would have ended up in landfills. The retail giant has created entire ad campaigns around its prioritization for sustainability.
Welcome to the future of sports surfaces made with Nike Grind.
I mean, it's inevitable, right? When climate change becomes such a central part of the social dialogue, it's inevitable that companies are going to see that social current and kind of capitalize on it.
But Nike is backing up its sustainability bona fides. Since 2010, Nike's converted over 6 billion plastic bottles to use in their clothing in some shape or form. And their shoes also feature an immense amount of recycled material.
Since 2010, we've used 6.4 billion plastic bottles and converted them into recycled polyester that then becomes a garment in some way, shape, or form. VaporMax, a recycled polyester upper, an air bottom unit that includes 75% recycled material.
Outdoor brands like Patagonia began using recycled materials in their products as early as 1993. But since the explosion of climate change coverage, even legacy brands like Ralph Lauren are finding new ways to make classic items sustainable.
We've been focused over the last year on creating a shirt that uses less water, that's made from bottles that we've picked up from beaches around the world. Our goal with the Ralph Lauren Earth Polo has been to collect 170 million plastic bottles and turn them into polo shirts.
So how do water bottles become polyester? One brand behind the innovation is Reprieve. The recycled material involves an intricate process, sterilizing each bottle, breaking it down into tiny plastic chips, melting them into beads, where it's then stretched into threads.
To date, we've recycled over 17 billion post-consumer bottles. We have a goal in place to recycle over 30 billion by 2022.
That's enough plastic to circle the globe 86 times and is enough to fill the Empire State Building about 12 times.
We're having companies that go all in terms of their sustainability efforts. We also have other brands that are really testing the concept. Will consumers really pay more?
The technology has been revolutionary, reducing waste and repurposing plastic that has significant impacts across the environment with carbon emissions, water, and energy consumption. Using recycled polyester instead of virgin polyester reduces emissions by 59%, lessens our dependence on fossil fuels, and keeps plastic out of landfills.
It's critical to think about fashion when you're thinking about sustainability. We're surrounded by clothing, and clothing leaves an amazing carbon footprint that we can do a better job in making smaller.
So using recycled plastic in fashion seems like a triple win. It's good for brands, good for consumers, and good for the environment, right? It's not quite that simple. Enter microplastics.
We thought this was a genius fabric because it takes old plastic bottles and recycles them and turns them into fabric. Like many genius ideas, that in the long game, there are actually some problems.
Every time we wash something that is made out of plastic, little pieces of plastic end up in our waterways.
And the problems with fleece or anything made of the recycled bottles like that is that they release microfibers in the water when they're washed. Millions and millions.
Oftentimes you can't even easily see them with the naked eye. And the problem with them is they do what scientists call bioaccumulate in the ecosystem.
Which is a fancy way of saying that because they look a lot like food for fish, the small fish eat them, and then the medium fish eat the small fish, and then the big fish eat the medium-sized fish.
And then sometimes we eat those very large fish. But even if we don't eat them, seabirds eat those fish. It just sort of magnifies throughout the ecosystem.
It's estimated that between 1.8 and 5 million tons of microplastics end up in the environment each year, and that number is expected to increase to more than 22 million by 2050.
So it doesn't matter what that original source of the plastic was, whether it was virgin or recycled, to the ocean and to the aquatic systems, it's all the same stuff.
Textile manufacturers are well aware of microplastics and attributes them to how we wash our clothes, or better yet, our washing machines.
Yes, we're concerned about the issue of microplastic. Some hypothetical solutions starts with the washing machine. Today, most washing machines don't come equipped with a removable filter.
Some companies are trying to fix that with filtering solutions and microfiber balls. Patagonia is investing in scientific studies with the hopes of finding a solution. Ralph Lauren and Nike also say they're working with partners to find long-term solutions for the industry-wide issue. So, can we still make the argument that buying clothing made from recycled material is both environmentally friendly and a good business decision?
Sustainability is not just a question of what you're using, but also how much you're using, because it doesn't matter how green the product is. If we're using too much, it's not sustainable.
For several years now, we've had this sort of message out to customers, don't buy things that you don't need.
But not every brand can afford to tell their customers not to buy their products. The truth is, ethical products tend to cost more, especially when it comes to repurposed base materials, which go through a more complex process of sterilizing, heating, and spinning, which forces businesses to calculate the trade-offs.
Creating sustainable products might cost a bit more. We're not going to make the customer pay for that. This is an investment in learning and creating better products.
Companies can either sell cheaper products, which analysts say carry higher environmental and human costs, or they can charge higher prices to be more environmentally friendly.
If we're buying cheap and buying and getting a good deal, somewhere along the way, somebody has been dealt a really bad hand, or the earth has just been ravaged.
While taking plastic out of the ocean or garbage to repurpose it sounds like an obvious net positive, it's a little more complex. Experts say using plastic sourced from a recycling facility to make clothing is actually ending the life cycle of that material. Once a plastic bottle is turned into thread, it can't be used for anything else.
The question arises as to whether or not they're taking bottles that would actually be recycled out of that stream and turning them into clothing, and then it becomes a problem.
But the reality is, less than 30% of water bottles in the US are recycled. That's one of the lowest rates in the developed world.
The solution is just stop using single-use plastic. Plastic is going to wind up in our landfill, or it's going to wind up in our waterways through microfibers. That plastic doesn't go away.
And as for clothing companies, experts say there are more sustainable models that can be adopted, from upcycling old clothing to be made into new garments, or even changing their business practices to implement sustainability from the inside out. Nike has been repurposing its shoes since 1990 with its Grind program, and nearly 75% of all Nike products use some recycled material, which equals billions of products. Ralph Lauren is also prioritizing overall company sustainability. And Patagonia has been steadfast in its commitment to sustainability through its repair program.
We'll take back any product if the customer is not happy with it. It provides the customer an extra level of insurance that they know it can last them a really long time.
So, of course, fashion companies will continue to come up with new sustainable clothing lines, develop newer and better ways to recycle plastic, and clever ways to advertise its feel-good products. But the most effective way they can fight climate change is dead simple: sell less stuff. These are Allbirds. The unassuming wool sneakers have taken the world by storm, starting with the feet of tech titans in Silicon Valley and reaching both the streets of Hollywood and of Middle America. So how did a simple shoe win over the feet of millions and turn into a billion-dollar company? It all started with a New Zealand soccer player.
Or football, where I was from.
Tim Brown was a professional football star. His 8-year career included a trip to the 2010 FIFA World Cup. Sponsored by major sportswear companies like Nike and Adidas, Brown was never a huge fan of the flashy sneakers.
Shoes were over-logoed, over-coloured, and it was very, very difficult to find simple. I didn't grow up on a sheep farm. I didn't grow up dreaming of one day starting a footwear brand, but I had a personal problem and I set out to try and find a solution.
Brown retired from soccer in 2012 and moved to London to go to business school at the London School of Economics, where he developed his idea for a simple, sustainable sneaker. Brown worked with a group of New Zealand government agricultural scientists to come up with a patented wool material that was strong enough for a shoe and still comfortable. The result was a superfine wool from the South Island of New Zealand.
The wool we used is normally made into fine suits for Tom Ford, Armani and Gucci.
The soles of Allbirds are made of rubber and foam. With a handful of samples made, Brown launched a Kickstarter campaign.
Inspired by these guys, we found a way to turn one of the world's most amazing renewable resources into a wickable, breathable, comfort experience that's like being upgraded to first class.
The campaign took off, and in 4 days we sold $120,000 worth of shoes. I had to stop the campaign because that was all the material that we had. You celebrate for a split second and then you realise that, gosh, there's an enormous amount of work to do and an enormous amount of expectation that's come on the back of this little bit of success I've had.
With hundreds of shoes he now had to produce, Brown needed a partner with experience establishing a supply chain. Enter Joey Zwillinger. Zwillinger is an industrial engineer and a Wharton graduate. His wife and Brown's wife were college roommates and introduced the pair.
He had a wool shoe prototype. I thought people were going to love it.
We got together famously over one weekend. Joey cooked me a lamb stew, which was my first taste of his sense of humour. And it really was a discussion about purpose. And on the 1st of March 2016, Allbirds was born.
Right out of the gate, Allbirds got some glowing reviews. And early on, some of Allbirds' biggest fans were in the tech crowd. The wool runner became part of the casual office uniform at startups and VCs, and leaders like Google co-founder Larry Page and former Twitter CEO Dick Costolo wore them. Allbirds have made their way onto the feet of Hollywood stars and politicians. But for Brown, there was one famous fan who stood out.
I got a call from my mum one day back in New Zealand who said, Allbirds has officially made it.
The New Zealand Prime Minister had met the Australian Prime Minister for the first time, and she gifted him a pair of Allbirds.
It was pretty special for a Kiwi who is a long way from home, who's very, very proud of where he comes from.
Brown says Allbirds sold its 1 millionth pair just 2 years after officially launching in March 2016. The company did roughly $80 million in revenue last year and will nearly double that amount in 2018. And taking into account outside investment, Allbirds is valued at a whopping $1.4 billion. Allbirds is still far behind sneaker giants like Nike, but Allbirds' rapid rise has not gone unnoticed by rivals. A growing demand for knit wool sneakers drove a 30% spike in the price of wool in 2017. And Allbirds even sued shoemaker Steve Madden in 2017, claiming they knocked off the signature wool runners.
We realise we're in a really, really competitive category. And the hope is that as people copy us, they copy the use of sustainable materials as much as the look.
Allbirds is expanding its product line and using different sustainable materials like eucalyptus and sugarcane.
We're a material science company and a material innovator. More than anything, we happen to make shoes.
It's about finding better ways to make stuff. Sometimes the assumption with innovation is it's about adding lots of things and bells and whistles. In the case of footwear, we were asked often in the early days, why does the world need another shoe? Sometimes innovation can be about taking things away. It can be whispering when everyone else is screaming.
Underwear. The historically unmentionable undergarment no one was supposed to talk about is getting more hip, thanks in large part to online underwear brand MeUndies. The company's taken the undergarment game and made it more fun, soft, and comfy, dubbing itself
the world's most comfortable underwear.
Its unconventional and controversial marketing campaigns got them on the map.
MeUndies has done a nice job of getting attention, creating a little bit of controversy, and then getting more attention.
The company's gotten the rich and famous, like the Hadid sisters and Kylie Jenner, touting the brand, and a boost in sales from advertising by celebrity podcasters, not to mention fostering a highly engaged customer base.
The hype is real. When people finally try our product for the first time, they go online and they rave about it, and they rave about how excited they are.
But with a saturated online marketplace and a long list of competitors, can MeUndies stay competitive over the long haul? Or will its run be, well, brief? MeUndies was founded in 2011 by Jonathan Shakrian, a then 26-year-old who had been dabbling in real estate and e-commerce.
The idea came about when I went to go shop for underwear for a 2-week trip I was going on. I found myself at the department store having a really uncomfortable interaction with this woman who was pointing me in the direction of where their underwear was. When I finally made my way to the underwear section, I was really overwhelmed with all the choices. Thought I was buying the underwear I normally buy. Get home to find out they're workout underwear.
When Shakrian told his best friend, Sweet Green co-founder Jonathan Neiman, about the experience, Neiman pushed him to create a brand around it. And Shakrian did, debuting the world's first direct-to-consumer online monthly subscription underwear brand. They were part of the beginning days of the online subscription boom, with companies like Birchbox, Dollar Shave Club, BarkBox, and The Honest Company all taking up spots in the marketplace. Like those companies, MeUndies uses a subscription model. One pair of undies gets delivered to your door each month for as much as $16, compared to Calvin Klein, which costs $39.50 for 3 pairs. And now they sell socks, shirts, sweatshirts, bras, and loungewear. Their underwear is made of micromodal material, extracted from Austrian beechwood trees that MeUndies claims is 3 times softer than cotton. The company has not been one to shy away from controversy. In fact, one can argue it's been the key to their success.
Early on, we really used a lot of different tactics to kind of get the brand out there and do a lot of shock advertising.
Case in point, in 2013, its first major ad campaign was featured on a startup porn site called Paint Bottle. In 2014, its ads were so risque, they got banned from Facebook. Instead of bowing out, this is how MeUndies responded.
Because we were a small company and working with little budgets, we really used the opportunity to try and really create, controversy per se.
A week after Dallas Cowboys running back Joseph Randle was caught shoplifting underwear in 2014, MeUndies invited Randle to become a spokesperson for the brand.
We didn't want to condone stealing, but we really saw it as an opportunity to try and turn a negative situation into a positive.
In 2015, Seattle Seahawks running back Marshawn Lynch was fined $20,000 for grabbing his crotch after scoring a touchdown. MeUndies offered to match Lynch's fines with a donation to his Fam First Family Foundation.
We thought it would be a funny opportunity to try and, let him know that there was more comfortable underwear out there. And so we used it as an opportunity to insert ourselves into the Super Bowl without having to spend, $3 million on a commercial.
I don't think MeUndies has accidentally created things to get attention. I think they understand that great brands are part of cultural conversations. And they're doing things within their brand authority and brand personality that allow their brand to become part of conversations.
Around the same time, Shakrian was dealing with his own controversy, stemming from an improper asbestos removal he oversaw at his family's company in Texas. He ultimately served 7 months in federal prison after pleading guilty to violating the 2008 Clean Air Act.
I think some of the lessons that I learned are about thoughtfulness and really being aware of the larger community that's out there. And we really like to be an optimistic company and really be encouraging to people and really show that there is change possible, just like with your underwear. Kind of funny enough, and there's a new way of doing things and you don't have to be stuck in the past.
MeUndies was one of the earliest adopters to use podcasts for advertising. Their scandalous and sometimes incendiary ads were featured on Anna Faris as Unqualified.
I'm a big MeUndies fan because whatever, we all work all day in our underpants.
WTF with Mark Maron.
My girlfriend Sarah just got like 20 pairs.
And Bill Burr's Monday Morning Podcast.
MeUndies, put them on you. Oh yeah!
Among many others. And it turned out to be a game changer. It took MeUndies 4 years to sell its first 1 million pairs of underwear. Since 2014, having shifted Facebook ad dollars to podcasts, MeUndies has sold a total of 9 million pairs, and it hasn't had to raise any capital. What's also noteworthy?
What they're trying to do is leverage what's called borrowed interest. So the borrowed interest is the existing community related to the podcast and whether they see some connectivity to the MeUndies brand.
Today, a third of its marketing budget goes towards podcast ads. The brand also leverages millennials to spread the word. MeUndies sources many of its designs from the community and uses real people as models. And if you're not impressed with your purchase,
You get to keep the underwear and we'll give you a full refund back.
Currently, their Instagram has over 300,000 followers, and it continues to climb. The underwear market in the US is worth $21.2 billion and filled with similar brands, including Victoria's Secret, Calvin Klein, and other startups like Third Love and Tommy John. MeUndies won't share its revenue numbers, but says it expects to earn $75 million in 2019. That's up from $32.6 million in 2016. Still, compared to other popular brands, some say MeUndies is iffy when it comes to durability and price. Bottom line, the numbers show that MeUndies has a strong following, and they plan to expand their brand. In 2018, MeUndies opened its first permanent storefront in Los Angeles. The company plans to continue to roll out more stores, albeit cautiously.
There is somewhat of a direct-to-consumer retail bubble we're seeing. We're really excited about expanding our retail footprint, but really want to be cautious about it.
And following on the success of its matching pairs, MeUndies is expanding into the, well, four-legged mammal market.
It's the first introduction of matching with your best friend, your dog, your cat, or your best buddy. It's a scarf that'll match with your underwear.
MeUndies is also in development to add more inclusive sizes for men and women, based on feedback they received from their community and test groups. These new sizes are expected to come out later in 2019. To date, the company sold over 10 million pairs and reached approximately 1 million customers. The company says it's been profitable for the last 3 years. The majority of MeUndies customers are between the ages of 25 and 35. And there's a reason why MeUndies skews to that specific target audience.
People who are 25 to 35 set cultural trends on food, on apparel, on travel, on all kinds of topics. And I think what MeUndies understands, and understands well, is how to tap into that mindset. My argument would be to look at 25 to 35 by mindset, because mindset will be a better way to bring scale to a brand that's a cultural brand. Because there are plenty of people who are 25 to 35 who don't have a MeUndies mindset, and there are people who are much older than 35 who absolutely have a MeUndies mindset.
We're always looking for that next milestone and really excited to constantly improve the product and take this company to the next level.
You've seen them in the gym, in the park, on yoga mats, in homes, in cars, on office desks. Swell bottles are seemingly everywhere. Swell bottles are known for their triple wall insulation that is supposed to keep drinks cold for 24 hours or hot for 12 hours. As great as their sleek design, funky patterns, and ability to retain heat may be, one bottle can cost from $35 to as much as $75. And you have to wash them by hand. So how did a water bottle with a heavy price tag that isn't even dishwasher safe become a status symbol for everyone from office workers to fashionistas around the world? And more importantly, would you shell out $35 for a Swell bottle?
I have a couple of those.
Yeah, they're nice though. They last a long time.
Yeah.
It would have to like put me to sleep. It would have to be my alarm clock, be my girlfriend or something.
The woman behind Swell is Sarah Kaus. Kaus was working at Ernst & Young as a CPA when she landed on the idea for a luxury water bottle come fashion accessory. She said she cared deeply about the environmental impact of single-use plastic water bottles, but was just too embarrassed to carry a reusable one with her to work.
Because it looked like a camping accessory. It had a carabiner on the top. It had a bumper sticker on the side. It didn't look like something that I would want to leave on the table.
She had a feeling other people felt the same way. She was right. In 2018, global sales for reusable water bottles topped $8 billion. The water bottle went from a functional product to a status symbol, says marketing and branding expert Chris Black.
It's honestly when the Prius came into the marketplace. The Prius was the great equalizer because you didn't know if someone was just like a crunchy hippie who cared about the environment or if they were filthy rich and wanted to look like they cared about the environment. I fully believe that reusable water bottles are today's status symbols.
But back in 2010, the year Swell was launched, the idea that people would fork over $35 for a reusable water bottle was far from a sure thing. But Kaus was convinced that there was an untapped market for premium reusable water bottles. So she put up $30,000 of her own money to take Swell from an idea to a product. Her business school friends thought she was crazy.
But in my mind, I thought, if I would buy it as a consumer, there must be more people that are like me.
Kaus says once she settled on the shape and color, she did what every aspiring entrepreneur does: hit the road selling door to door. The only problem, she spent so much time perfecting her pitch, she didn't have a plan to actually fulfill her orders.
I had my little backpack, and I had my bottle, and I had my catalog that I had created myself. I took the pictures and did the layout, and I went in and I did my whole pitch. And the gentleman, his name was Kevin, he said, okay, I'll take 4 of them. And then I didn't know what to do.
Kaus said she learned a lot about running a business from those early clients. First-year sales were less than $100,000, and every cent went back into the business. To say she was onto something is a bit of an understatement. Her first big break came in July of 2011. Swell was offered to be featured by Oprah's O-List. The only problem? She only had one color for sale.
And she said, when you expand, call me back. And I hung up the phone and I thought, this is the time that we make the switch from a product to a company. And so I hung up the phone, left my lunch, walked straight out. I walked to Barnes & Noble and I bought a Pantone book, color book. And I myself picked out 6 new colors. I called the factory and said, I need 2 each of these 6 colors.
2 years later, a buyer from Starbucks cold called her with a proposition to put Swell bottles in 140 stores as a trial run.
And what happened is the bottle sold really well. There wasn't any marketing behind it. There wasn't any signage. It was just the bottle sitting on the shelf, and they all sold.
During that trip, she made a decision that would take Swell from a niche product to a household name.
Howard Schultz was standing at the coffee bar by himself, having a coffee in the middle of this opening. And I said to my buyer, there's your boss. Let's go talk to him. And she said, absolutely not. She said, I'm way too nervous to go talk to him. And I just thought, if I get on the plane tomorrow, I'm always going to regret that I didn't make a fool of myself and rush over to him. And so I went over, and I had a bright yellow Swell, and I went up and I introduced myself to him, and I said, listen, we're both running businesses. You probably don't know, but I'm one of your vendors, very small vendor, and we could be doing a lot more together if you just gave me the opportunity.
Schultz agreed to make Swell bottles the centerpiece of a Starbucks holiday campaign, as long as she promised she could actually fulfill the orders.
I said yes, I shook his hand, and then I got on the plane and thought, holy cow, what are we gonna do now?
The launch into Starbucks set Swell on a blazing path. Since then, they've worked with retail giants like Saks, Neiman Marcus, Target, Nordstrom, and Bloomingdale's.
I think the smartest thing Swell did in terms of marketing is just identify their customer early and just hit them over the head with it. I think that's how they got people to buy more than one, which is the hardest thing to do in this category.
20 million bottles have been sold in 65 countries, and Swell has been recognized as one of the fastest growing female-led companies in the world. Swell reported revenue of $100 million in 2016, the last year those figures were made available. Kao still owns 100% of the company and hasn't taken any outside investment, and she may never have to. By 2017, bottled water edged out carbonated soft drinks and became the #1 beverage in the US. But with that growth came a flurry of negative news stories depicting how devastating single-use water bottles are for the environment. The rise in awareness is creating a business opportunity for companies like Swell and its competitors.
Anything that comes to prominence this quickly and makes this much money is based on trends, but I think people truly care about the environment, and if they don't, they should. So this stuff will last, it just will not be at this fever pitch that it is now.
But in the near future, the reusable water bottle market shows no signs of slowing. In fact, it is expected to hit $10.19 billion by 2024. Kaus wants to capitalize on that growth. In 2016, Swell introduced a more affordable line of water bottles called Sip by Swell. In 2019, they introduced a line of food containers called Swell Eats and Snack by Swell. The containers can carry price tags between $20 and $50. But hand washing is still recommended, which, let's be honest, is a little annoying.
It's gross. It's insane that Swell is not dishwasher safe. That seems like something that I hope that's like a priority for them as a company to get it there, because that makes it even more attractive, really.
The question is, will the cheaper bottles and new product offerings keep Swell on its current trajectory?
If you can get the trifecta of the perfect timing, the right price point, and finding that right customer, then you're gonna succeed, and that's exactly what they've done.
When I hear that people are using swells as status symbols on their boardroom tables or at school or at yoga or wherever, I really love that, because it's not just that they're using a swell, they're helping support the mission and everything that Swell stands for.
It's like Christmas! Today we're here to
unbox my brand new Casper mattress.
Casper, the millennials mattress. Gone are the jingles.
1-800-MATTRESS.
And the salespeople.
I'm going medieval on prices! What a wank!
Everyone's had that experience of going into a mattress store and being like, oh, this is not a place I want to be.
These days, sweet dreams are made of clever ads, celebrity endorsements, and a horde of mattress-crazed YouTubers. Casper is resting comfortably, valued at $1.1 billion, and it's all thanks to the simple idea of selling a mattress online.
We were all excited to go after something super unsexy. That's what partially created such big growth at the beginning, is that we picked something that no one else our age wanted to go work on.
That's Neil Parikh, one of the 5 founders behind the direct-to-consumer mattress company, Casper. The online mattress business is a crowded market now, with competitors like Lisa, Purple, Tuft & Needle. But when the Casper founders decided to disrupt the $14 billion mattress industry back in 2014, they were met with some pushback.
At the beginning, we met with dozens of investors who all said, no one's ever going to buy a mattress online. This is a dumb idea. Don't do it. We were just like racking up debt. We put like $50,000 to $100,000 on our credit cards, which probably was irresponsible, but we were all in.
The team set out to create an affordable foam mattress in a box that consumers could buy online and have shipped to their homes. And they eventually got an investor on board, one who had experience investing in other direct-to-consumer businesses like Warby Parker. The Casper site launched in April 2014, and they sold out of their inventory on the first day.
A truck was driving from Georgia that morning to New York with our beds on it, and we were hoping that it was going to get there in time. And so when the truck got there, we literally took the boxes out, put them on the cobblestone streets, relabeled them all, and shipped them back out. We set up a warehouse in the middle of the street, and so it was chaos, but it was awesome.
With first-year sales projections at $1.8 million, they hit that in 2 months. In 2018, Casper's revenue reached $400 million. The company's valued at $1.1 billion, and they've raised $340 million from Target, Canada Goose, and some famous investors.
The first celebrity investor we had was Nas the rapper, and I just guessed the email address of his manager, and he ended up investing.
Another early celebrity investor was Ashton Kutcher.
And then it became like the cool brand for celebrities that want to sleep better.
But the real game changer?
Oh my God. When Kylie Jenner posted about Casper, I think it broke our website.
Casper became known for its Subway ads, brain teasers, puzzles, and quirky illustrations, but Parikh says the best marketing came from their customers.
At the beginning, it was crazy. We'd have this referral program where in the comment section, put down if a friend referred you to Casper, and we'd just like Venmo you, you know, $75 or something. Like, it was very janky. But the thing went viral. The unboxing videos are crazy.
There's a queen-size mattress squeezed into this box.
It is like a snake in a can, and as soon as I open it, just
You'd open it up, pull out the mattress, and a king